Friday is a good day that has Starfield co-op on the menu. I can't wait for Todd Howard to give me lies, sweet, sweet little lies.
So I say we hop into this brand new update. I had a chance to try it for myself to see if it's overhyped. Is this really the biggest?
An overhyped update for Starfield? Heresy. That's impossible. When Todd Howard tells you you're gonna get an FOV slider in 2 months, you get an FOV slider in 2 months. Let's ignore the fact that it probably broke 15 other things that were more important than an FOV slider. But when Todd Howard says you're gonna get an eat button, you're getting that eat button. By the way, is it actually in the game now? Is it? It's been 4 months or something. I think it should be in the game right now. But if not, then, you know, it's a work in progress. An eat button is a delicate thing to add. So Bethesda can't obviously rush that. Because they also need to break 15 other things when they import the eat button from another game.
This Starfield update ever. It's roughly about 15 gigabytes, available to everyone out of beta, of course. Then you have some options in here for DLSS, NVIDIA Reflex, low latency, which kind of improve the actual responsiveness of the game. There are some new sharpness options. By the way, a warning about that. It's set to 100 when you go into the game now, so it might look weird when you initially start the game. You might be like, whoa, what is going on here? So yeah, I would crank that down if I was you. But finally, a lot of you guys...
I don't think there's any amount of sharpness that can make Starfield not look like something that should have been released 20 years ago. And still then, it even would be underwhelming.
We're requesting, hey, I want brightness and contrast options. Yes, those are in there as well. And we will be seeing those increases to FPS if you use the performance mode for NVIDIA DLSS. No matter what graphics card you really are on, 20, 30, 40 series, it really doesn't matter. And then, yes, I did get to try...
Did you see that? Look at this dude. Look at him. Look at his hand.
Doesn't matter.
Bam! Magic tricks. Magic tricks, and this guy's like looking, haha, you saw it, didn't you? It's a magic trick, haha. Dude, Starfield is just an experience, okay? And this guy's looking like, you didn't see any magic trick. Bethesda. It just doesn't get better than this.
And then, yes, I did get to try from the beta the crowd interactions to see how that worked out. And yeah, those weird eyes are gone now, even in the final patch. But
I don't know, it looked pretty weird to me still, not gonna lie.
It is nice having that extra brightness contrast option, I will say, because yeah, you don't have to go into your actual monitor and set the brightness contrast. You can just do it from the game, which again should have been out of the gates how it was. But I recommend
everything that Starfield has added in the past 3 months, which is, by the way, like 3 things, let's be real, should have been in the game since launch. Bethesda had the audacity to blame NVIDIA for Bethesda not supporting their graphics cards. It can't get better than that, honestly. Oh, man. Imagine Starfield 2 years from now. Maybe it's gonna have 5 updates or something at this rate. The devs are just... The devs just don't care, okay? Juicehead did an analysis, a side-by-side comparison with the things. And it's like, okay, Starfield did not only add DLSS or whatever thing is that it should have had from the very start. They themselves improved Starfield. Do you know how much they themselves improved the performance of Starfield? By 3 FPS. I'm not kidding you. Bethesda themselves increased FPS performance on average by 3. Usually it's 2. But by 3 on average. Okay? That's crazy. That's absolutely wild. And admittedly, they kind of ruined the performance in other things. Your computer now takes more energy to process that 3 FPS that Bethesda got for you than any other amount of FPS ever in the game. But, you know, at least they improved the game by 3 FPS. Man, this is wild.
Fine-tuning that because you can really make nighttime look really like nighttime, which I personally really have been enjoying so far. Kind of makes it feel a bit like Skyrim Fallout. So I think that's really, really cool. So check it out. Let me know what you think here about it. Now, there are some enhancements to stealth gameplay as well. Now, I'm not much of a stealth player myself, but they did say here but they have made stealth a little bit easier for players because there were some problems with that. And of course, you have the ability to actually eat food right there in the moment.
Oh, wow, they actually added it. I thought that that's going to be DLC.
Wow. Again, I don't feel like
Yeah.
this is a totally, absolutely amazing, like, whoa, this patch changes the game forever type situation. It doesn't even include the local map in this patch. So I'm waiting for that, and we definitely need...
Okay, next big patch. Local map, boys. Yeah, imagine a mini map in your Fallout game. Crazy, I know. Absolutely unexpected. Or, a map in general.
more like insane enhancements to the actual game in terms of, I think, a lot of people want changes to factions, really fleshing out this game, and of course certain elements of AI. And
the fastest way to flesh out Starfield at this point is just make a new game. That's the fastest. Unironically, that is the fastest way. The writing is bad. The exploration is non-existent. The gunplay is horrible. The balance is stupid. The role-playing choices are redundant, and there's no choice at all. There's no variety. Dude, this might as well be Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's campaign. It's probably worse than that, though.
Especially exploration. Yeah, I haven't heard anything from Bethesda about that one. I'm going to see if they actually mention, like, oh, we're going to consider doing an overhaul to the game. But so far, they're pretty mum about it. But yeah, don't get me wrong. There are definitely some positives about it.
Okay, imagine 4 months for an FOE slider that Bethesda knew that people will want on day one, because that has been the case for every single Bethesda game previously. Because they have never added an FOE slider, and everyone usually complains about not having an FOE slider. So they had that. They added. It took them 2 months to copy paste it from Skyrim. Because keep in mind, again, this is the same engine Skyrim was made on. A 20-year-old game at this point. And Elder Scrolls 6 is also going to be made on the same engine, by the way. That sounds great, I know. People are legitimately commenting about how they do not want to play Elder Scrolls 6, because if it's made on this same engine, it's going to be as bad as Starfield. So yeah, people are constantly commenting about that. But yeah, imagine how long it would take them to create an overhaul for this game. It would be years. And in a span of months, the modders are probably already going to completely overhaul this game. But again, people who play mods are 0.1% of the total player base. So, it's, modding honestly doesn't matter. It's just Bethesda fanboys really care about modding, because they do play the game and they do install the mods, but the vast majority of people never are gonna even touch a mod in their life.
About this patch, and that's mostly some of the bug fixes, but ultimately it goes down to the DLSS support. It has definitely improved performance in places like New Atlantis, Aquila City. Those kind of ran a little bit rough for me. Now it's like perfect. So that's really good to know. But, a lot of people will say, hey, modders already got to that.
Okay, you know what happened just there? He threw a grenade and Wasco was in front of him, because that's what companions in this game do, right? If you ever want to crouch and stealth, congratulations. Guess who you're headshotting? Your companion. Yeah, it is what it is.
So, this isn't that big of a deal. And you would be right. Modders beat Bethesda to their own game, essentially. But yeah, now we have official support. But, beyond this, we got to...
The trick here why modders beat Bethesda to their own game is because Bethesda devs are already out of this game. They don't care.
Talk about what's happening at Bethesda with both Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. They did say that they are now entering into production for Elder Scrolls 6. Does that mean that we're seeing like employees being taken away off of Starfield? That's a big concern, and we actually have this right here. Check it out. It says Todd Howard reveals how many Bethesda employees are still working on Starfield. Oh boy. It better
-5 would be my guess.
Like 2,000 people. No, but I really wouldn't expect that many to be working on it, but let's find out how many are. So it says, in a recent video by Wired, Todd Howard sat down to discuss his long career as a video game developer before Also shedding some light on how many developers were working on Starfield's post-launch support. To everyone's surprise, Howard revealed that around 250 developers were still assigned to...
That's such a blatant lie. That is a 100% unexcusable lie. 250 developers, and they can't add a field of view option. They can't even fix bugs. The only thing that Starfield devs in Bethesda ever fix, and this is a thing for Bethesda in general, is exploits that make the game easier, that are really hard to do and almost no one will do. Find a way to get under the floor and empty the chests that are under every vendor? Well, that Bethesda will fix in literally an hour since it's posted on Reddit. But anything else that breaks the game and requires people to delete their save file and start the game over, even if they want to play this garbage dumpster fire, oh no, that's gonna be in the game for literal months on months, if not years. 250 developers. What are they doing? What are these people doing? How far do they have their arms up each other's backsides at this point to do nothing? And this is crazy. 250 Muppets? Who? What are they doing? Like tell me, what are the great achievements that they're trying to do with Starfield? Now, if 250 devs, if the game does not get a complete overhaul and basically does not become a fully fledged new game in 2 months, I'm gonna say that all of these people should be fired from the industry and never hired again because they're clearly garbage.
Starfield, which represents roughly 55% of Bethesda's 450-person crew. This means that Starfield is getting plenty more...
You're telling me a company that was worth $4 billion has only 450 people in it? What? I'm misunderstanding something. I must be. Which represents roughly 55 of Bethesda's... Yeah, it says Bethesda's 450-person crew. That means that there's only 450 people working at Bethesda? Wow.
More support before Bethesda moves.
Look at how bad Diablo 4 is, and that game got worked on by 4,000 different people. Bethesda made... Now I understand why Starfield is so much worse, though. Man, Bethesda's like an indie development company at this point for AAA developers. Crazy.
On to Elder Scrolls 6 proper. But yeah, that got me thinking about how many people were working on Cyberpunk's Phantom Liberty expansion. We'll talk about that in a moment. Then it says this right here. Unfortunately, this also means the Elder Scrolls 6 may not come out for a long while, as it's estimated that around 150 developers are currently working on the game. Now,
100, and the rest are probably tweeting about their pronouns. Again, Bethesda American developer, okay? These 150 devs are probably adding more quests with she, her, he, him options for dialogue, okay? That's the only thing that they may be adding to the game. More modern day feminism in your Starfield. Because, you know, reasons. That's my best guess, honestly and ironically.
Skyrim remains a popular title. Bethesda fans have been waiting over a decade for the next big adventure in Tamriel. In the interim, the Elder Scrolls Online significantly expanded on the franchise lore, which I don't know how many of you are playing Elder Scrolls Online. I'm kind of curious. They've done some cool updates to it. And many ambitious modding projects such as Skywind made strides in their development. Yeah, and those are all estimates. 150 is basically just them estimating, by the way. But yeah, learning how many people are currently active with Starfield's development of expansions, updates, and that sort of thing. 250, it really doesn't sound like a lot. So I asked myself, how many people were working on Cyberpunk's Phantom Liberty expansion? Check this out right here. It goes on to say this.
300. Oh, 350. That's not a lot. But again, this is what happens when you have people with passion and people who are good at their job. Okay? That's the difference. That's the difference. These people were passionate. They cared about what they make. You know? Bethesda threatened people who worked on Starfield to ever say that they weren't. inspired with what they make. Okay, there's a difference. Okay, one person that's competent is probably worth 100 times more on average in this world than someone who is incompetent. Okay, one competent person is definitely worth more than at least 100 incompetent people when it comes to, complex things like game development. Obviously, if we're talking about stacking boxes, then competent player probably is not gonna be better. But you get the point. This is like comparing apples to peaches, and in this case, the CDPR devs are apples and peaches, and the people working at Bethesda are drooling abominations of humanity.
150 plus, we're working on Phantom Liberty. Is that a lot for an expansion? How big will this actually be? So seems like that's actually plenty enough, and I think that number ultimately reached up over 400 people as CD Projekt Red continued hiring. And yeah, I've said it before, I really do hope that Microsoft helps Bethesda on the hiring front and they consider really doubling down on hiring people.
Dude, Microsoft is probably very, very, very rethinking how did they make this bad decision of hiring Bethesda, well, buying out Bethesda and Blizzard after these absolute colossal atrocity failures. It's crazy stuff, really.
For their projects. Because yeah, it seems like to me they're taking on a lot. They're taking on Starfield right now. Elder Scrolls 6, we're all waiting for that one. And I'm sorry, Elder Scrolls 6, it has to be groundbreaking. We have been waiting
Good luck
forever.
on that.
So I really hope they double down on investing in talent to really provide them with support, avoid burnout, which burnout can lead to, in my personal opinion, rust projects, which also, lack passion. So that's a concern. Because, this team, they've been through release after release, and there's been a lot of divisive opinions about the game, which can, in my opinion, hurt the morality of a team. So,
divisive.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Microsoft...
Really? The majority of opinions about Starfield is just shit. That's not divisive at all.
Really helps them double down in the regard of getting fresh talent in there, renewed spirits. I think that could go a long way without laying off people. That's important to note right there, because we know the gaming industry has been pretty relentless in that regard. But yeah, all of this has definitely stirred up the conversation within the community. So let's head on over to the subreddit and see what's being said. Yeah, and we're going to start off with some comments about those.
Dude, look at him. He has a non-knockoff chair. Remember my old chair? I had the things here, and they were already broken when I got them. Man, imagine having a good quality chair. This one at least feels kinda okay. Probably gonna still last like only 2 years, but it is what it is, baby.
There's 250 developers that are currently working on Starfield. Check it out. It says, seems most of these people are working on DLC rather than patching the game unless exploits are involved apparently.
Yep.
Just hope it doesn't end up like
right.
Skyrim, with some launch issues remaining unfixed, even on the still rather recent Anniversary Edition. Example, they never fixed the bug that doesn't allow stuff.
Okay, place your bets. What version of Skyrim is the Anniversary Edition? And when I say version, I don't mean actually version. It's just they're selling you the same game. But which time is this? I think there have been at least 15 to 20 Skyrim re-releases. So, what do you think is the most recent Anniversary Edition? 20, 17, maybe 22? We're probably close to the 20th release of Skyrim in the same form it always has been. Shit.
Other Imperial armor to be improved. So, yeah, that is concerning that they would just hyper-focus on bringing us new content, the expansion, and just keeping the vanilla base game as is, instead of doing what CD Projekt Red ultimately did was, hey, we're going to release expansion, but also we're releasing a massive game-changing update to the actual DNA of the game. Is Bethesda willing to go to those links? And that's got me thinking about Fallout 76, actually. Because, yeah, Bethesda did something with that game I did not expect them to do at all.
I did. I actually don't know why you would not expect Bethesda to actually do something with Fallout 76. Because it has a cash shop. It has microtransactions in it. When Starfield has microtransactions in it, And by the way, it will. It will. Trust me. I still am not giving up on my prediction, but that Bethesda is gonna add microtransactions to Starfield at some point. It's happening. Obviously, 76 is an exception for Bethesda. They actually updated the game, and it's still shit. By the way, do not play it. It's a waste of time. Admittedly, I have 8 hours in Starfield and roughly 50 hours in 76. So, it's better than Starfield in almost everything, but that doesn't mean it's a good game. It's still a shit game, and it's boring. And there's no real... Well, there are better choices than in Starfield, but, still. 76 is a horrible dumpster fire. The only reason Bethesda ever put an update on it is because it has a microtransaction cash shop where you can buy power skins and all of that. That's it. If that wasn't there, Bethesda would not care.
Well, it released, it was a mess. And then they did do an update where they did actually add NPCs, dialogue, or all sorts of stuff, which I was not expecting them to do at all. I thought they would be like, that's it, So I wouldn't count it out that they wouldn't, revisit the vanilla base game for Starfield. It could be possible that they might actually want to do that. But, I really wish Bethesda would come out and tell us, hey, this is the roadmap. This is what we're planning for, the expansion. And then, hey, we have plans for, your biggest complaints about the game. That would just make my day. I think it would just be something that a lot of you guys would love. But yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath because you got to remember they do have to move on to Elder Scrolls 6. They're going to eventually release this expansion, and I think less and less people will be working on Starfield after the first expansion releases. I have no idea if we're going to get a second expansion. That's up in the air. But yeah, this is kind of reminding me...
I don't even know if I'm going to check out the expansion, honestly. I don't think it's going to be worth it. Like, what am I going to do? Buy the expansion, play it for 2 hours, and then just, call it shit? I can already predict it's going to be shit.
Yeah, of Cyberpunk 2077 all over again. They released one expansion, and then, hey, we're moving on to the next project. I'm sorry, some of the comments are just stupid. We have this one. It says, Todd Howard legally changed the name of one employee to 250 deaths. Oh, man. Then there's this guy. He calls him out. He says, I have to admit, I kind of...
That's actually so true.
Laughed at this. In general, I'm far more positive about the game than most people are here, and I haven't suffered a huge amount of bugs. But that being said, when I looked at the unofficial community patch on PC that's been worked on by 6 people, then compared to that, the output of 250 devs still working on Starfield, you do have to wonder what the F they're doing over there at Bethesda Game Studio. And, they do have a point here, I have to say. I think...
Dude, if I worked in the game industry, I would probably try to work in something like Ubisoft or Bethesda. Or Blizzard. I would be the best employee there. And not because I would actually do anything. No, I would just lie and cheat and steal. But I think people at these game studios are just so absolutely incredibly incompetent that, again, I've worked in competent places where I already sold myself as a fucking genius. And I'm not kidding about that. I think it would be super easy to do that in like a studio like Bethesda or whatever, where everyone is a moron. Like, you just being average probably puts you so up the scale in, everything. It's crazy. So yeah, I don't know. If I was a game dev, I would work at one of those studios because it sounds so easy. It sounds like you can just fuck around all day with your hot colleagues because, diversity hires. And, well, then you get praised for doing nothing. I mean, that's crazy. That would be so cool.
I think that the previous comment nailed it, that they're primarily focused up on the expansion over updates. And their core focus is on new content over anything else. And that's where they're going to stay with their focus. And updates will be trickling in and will be ultimately drip fed to us up until the expansion. That's how I'm seeing it currently. But I do wholeheartedly wish things were different. It's almost like I feel like these studios need to have a plan of like, hey, we're going to segment this amount of people for updates post-launch because we know it's going to be needed. This is a very, very big game. We want to support it, the vanilla base game, and then yeah, we're going to have the expansion being worked on simultaneously. So, I know that is what is going on, but it feels like the team that are in charge of updates are almost like a skeleton crew. At least that's how it's feeling to me when it comes to how long it's taking for these updates to release. But yeah, Starfield's rating dropped to mixed on Steam as players crown it Bethesda's most mediocre game to date. And this is why I'm saying that they should not abandon updating the base game. They should definitely just pursue what CD Projekt Red did with Cyberpunk 2077 and go all in on updating the entirety of the game alongside giving us a good expansion, even if it takes a while to do that. I think in the
Not happening.
long term, it would be huge.
Yeah, I think this is wishful thinking.
Huge for this game for sure.
Those are the
But yeah,
comments?
on the
Yup.
Steam charts, we can see that yes, people are still very much active within the Starfield community. There are people that are very much engaged with the game and playing the hell out of it.
Yo, look at this. Odd Boy got a World of Warships sponsorship, and he put it at the end of the video. Can you even do that? That's crazy. Open world games, well done, my boy. Well done, my. Oh, you can't see it properly, but sec. Look at this. Look at this. That's a sponsorship ad, boys. World of Warships. Wow, 10 out of 10. And then there's the top comments, which are kind of boring. Anyway, that was open world games. What a time to be alive, boys. What a time to be alive. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sensei. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't done anything. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.